Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is still 11th of August, now it's almost 7 o'clock in the evening Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my second update for the day, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages for this moment. There are quite a few very significant developments and the news, and I will start with quick summary of the situation on the front line, and I will share with you simultaneously information that was reported by Russian Defense Ministry about previous 24 hours. I did share this information on my Telegram. If you are subscribed, you may already seen it, but if you are not, then I will go through some main points from today's briefing of Russian Defense Ministry. So first, Kupiansk direction. Lately, Kupiansk direction did become one of the major newsmaker areas, if I may say this way, because even though still talks about Ukrainian counteroffensive, but lately more and more media outlets, more and more politicians or military experts are beginning to talk about inevitability of Russian large-scale offensive operation in the northern sectors of the front, which I was predicting for quite a long time now. And well, according to Russian Defense Ministry, as a result of local-scale battles between the sides in Kupiansk direction, Ukrainian forces lost up to 165 servicemen, 2 armored fighting vehicles, 2 pickup trucks, 1 Polish manufactured Krab, self-prepared howitzers. I'm wondering if any Krab howitzers have been left in Poland, because we are almost on daily basis receiving information that this type of howitzers have been destroyed in different sectors of the front. And also 2 US manufactured AN-TPQ-50 counter-battery radar stations were destroyed in Kupiansk direction. Significant increase in and intensification of clashes in this sector in comparison to previous day, but yet again nothing is in the scale that will influence overall situation on this sector of the front. I guess main question now is when exactly Russia will start its offensive operations in Kupiansk and in direction of Kharkov region as a whole. Let's continue, and in Donetsk direction there was some fierce fighting also, and the Ukrainian side in Donetsk direction is here, by the way, and we all know several main hotspots in this sector. It's Marinka, of course, Krasnogorovka and Avdiivka. And according to Russian Defense Ministry, during the previous 24 hours, Ukrainian side lost up to 180 servicemen in this area, 7 infantry fighting vehicles, which quite a significant number, 2 pickup trucks, 1 Strela 10 anti-aircraft missile system, and also US manufactured M109 Paladin self-prepared artillery system, and the 2 D-20 howitzers. So it's mainly artillery duels between the sides, and it seems like Russian forces are more successful in this type of warfare. Next is the South Donetsk direction. According to Russian, which is here, by the way, and main hotspot in South Donetsk direction is Vremevsky Ledge or salient. Well, in this in morning's update, I did report that Ukrainian forces did manage to enter Urozhaine settlement in the eastern side of Staromayorsk, and according to latest news, this village is still divided between Ukrainian and Russian forces. But as I said in my first update for the day, I would not be surprised if in coming days we will hear that Russian forces made decision to withdraw from this settlement, which will be quite understandable if we take in account this mobile warfare tactic that Russian side is adopting in this special military operation. Whenever positions are undefendable or requires heavy losses, Russian forces usually withdraw troops and regain control over those territories when time is right. So in this sector, Ukrainian forces lost up to 35 servicemen. I guess these losses did occur during the clashes for Urozhaine settlement. Also 2 armored fighting vehicles, 2 motor vehicles, and 1 D-30 howitzer. Local scale skirmishes, really nothing in the scale that will significantly influence overall situation on this sector of the front. It's basically operational pause, and I will remind you that Vremovsky Ledge not even close to the first line of defense of Russian forces on this land bridge between Crimea and mainland Russia. Let me continue now, and next is Zaporizhzhia direction, which is here, by the way, and according to Russian defense ministry, during the local scale clashes in previous 24 hours, Ukrainian forces lost up to 60 servicemen, 3 motor vehicle, and 1 D-30 howitzer. But I guess this report from Russian defense ministry did not include numbers, or did not include information about today's clashes in this area. And if you remember, in the first update I did reported that Ukrainian forces in early hours of the morning did begin the offensive in direction of Rabotina. According to some sources, during this offensive, heavy military equipment was used in mass by Ukrainian forces. There were reports about some 7 tanks and a dozen of other types of military vehicles that was used during this local scale offensive. And even though Russian side did not yet made available to public information about situation in Rabotina, according to some reports, Ukrainian forces did manage to enter this settlement, and well, if that's the case, I guess for tomorrow we will have some video or photo confirmation of it. This is significant, by the way. If Ukrainian forces will manage to capture Rabotina settlement, they may say in that case that after almost 3 months of fighting, 3 months of the so-called counteroffensive, Ukrainian forces did manage to reach first line of defense of Russian forces for the first time. But yet again, we did not have I was checking before I start recording this video. I was looking for any reports from Rabotina area, but for this moment there was no reports on Russian language channels about the situation. But well, it's quite possible that Ukrainian forces did manage to enter this settlement, but it only means that they are right next to it. Settlement itself is mainly, I believe, still in Russian control, and by the way, it's quite possible that Russian side will conduct, or maybe already conducting, local scale counteroffensive to push Ukrainian forces back from Rabotina and surrounding areas. But there's some more or less significant development in this sector, which of course, by the way, in no way, shape or form will influence overall situation on the Zaporizhzhia front. It's still mainly operational pause, and anticipated by many second wave of Ukrainian counteroffensive still nowhere to be seen. And Well, Krasnyi Lyman direction next, which is northern sector of the front. So according to Russian Defense Ministry, in this area, as a result of local scale battles between the sides, Ukrainian armed forces lost up to 150 servicemen, 3 armored fighting vehicles, and 1 D-20 howitzer. Well, in the central and northern sectors of the front, initiative is in totally Russian hands. As you know, Kiev did make decision to conduct evacuation, mandatory evacuation from Kupiansk and dozens and dozens of settlements in Kharkov region in anticipation of Russian large-scale offensive operation in this area. And well, I guess Zelensky and his associates will not conduct such an operation without having good enough information that Russian offensive is inevitable. And there are some reports that now Ukrainian forces are not just removing locals from these areas, but also entering their homes and basically are trying to build up some defense lines in this settlement by using homes of and apartments of those civilians. And let me continue now. And in Kherson direction, which is a southern sector here, according to Russian Defense Ministry, as a result of local scale clashes, Ukrainian side lost up to 20 military personnel, 2 pickup trucks, 1 US manufactured M777 artillery howitzer, 1 D-20 howitzer, as well as 1 Vozdika self-prepared howitzer. Well, as always, in Kherson region, we are seeing artillery duels between the sides, constant artillery duels between the sides, and the recon operation. There are no additional news about this Ukrainian unit that was sent towards Kazachyi Lager settlement. They did manage to cross Dnieper River and land on the left bank a few days ago, but after that, Russian side, as I did predicted, Russian side conducted aviation and artillery strikes on those units, and they were dispersed all along the bank of the river. And I guess right now operational control is fully in Russian hands, even though we are constantly seeing some reports on different Telegram channels that Ukrainian forces are conducting on daily basis new attempts to cross Dnieper River and somehow reinforce the units on the left bank or in the islands on the Dnieper River or delta of this river. Overall, situation on this sector of the front is operational pause, and at least for now, nothing is happening that will influence this situation. And this is it for quick summary of the battlefield. According to Russian Defense Ministry, if we will combine all the numbers during previous 24 hours, Ukrainian forces did lost up to 500 military personnel all along the front lines during these local scale fights between the sides. And now let's go to some other news. And by the way, when I did upload the first update, Russian media did report about yet another drone strike on Moscow from Zelensky's regime, and I did share on my Telegram video footage. This is it, by the way. You can clearly see here drone over the Moscow, and according to Russian officials, this very drone was destroyed by air defense systems, and fragments of that drone did fell down on one of the banks of the Moscow River, if I'm not mistaken. And there was some quite big explosion, but yet again no reports about casualties or any significant damage on the ground. And by the way, according to some other reports, this drone was suppressed, not shut down by air defense systems, but suppressed by radioelectronic warfare. And if that's the case, it will explain then this quite big explosion that did occur on the area where this drone fell down. Anyway, this is not we all know that this is not the first, and unfortunately probably not the last instance when Zelensky's regime is targeting Moscow with this type of drones. And well, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time, I guess, when Russian society will start demanding from Russian authorities some decisive actions to be taken against leadership of current regime in Ukraine. Probably Kremlin is monitoring situation, and they do understand that society's patience is running out. Let's continue. RT is reporting that according to Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Dmitry Kuleba, Zelensky will never negotiate with Putin. To be honest, I didn't remember instance when Putin did invite Zelensky for negotiations. As I understand, Putin don't want to have anything to do with Zelensky. He don't want to speak with this clown, really. And that's what Zelensky is, isn't it? I mean, he's an actor who is acting as a kind of president of Ukraine, and he's I mean, puppet clown. And well, this type of extreme statements, anyway, from Kiev by Kuleba or whoever else in among high-ranking officials there, just proves my point when I said that I don't think Moscow will be able to conduct negotiations with this current regime in Kiev, because they cannot be taken seriously. First of all, they are fully controlled by Washington and London, and second of all, these people cannot be taken seriously. They can say one thing one day, and next day they can say something 180 degrees different. I mean, they can change their positions as many times as they like. So with those kind of people, I don't think anybody will want to have any deal done, really. And by the way, I'm remaining on my position that after this conflict will end, there will be no more Ukraine as a state on the political map. And one of the reasons why is exactly this type of individuals that are running and ruining Ukraine, that cannot be trusted. So Moscow will be forced to neutralize regime in Ukraine, regime that are destroying, not just acting against Russia aggressively, but also destroying Ukraine itself and Ukrainian society. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, some parts of Ukrainian society are now beginning to realize that some significant changes happening on the front line, and not everything seems like they've been told by fully controlled Ukrainian media. And in this case, we are talking about Kupiansk direction. According to former aide of Ukrainian president Leonid Kuchma, and his name, this person is Oleg Soskin. So according to this person, Ukrainians are beginning to realize that despite some massive expectations that was generated by this propaganda of Zelensky's regime or the Western so-called elites, in reality, not just this Ukrainian counteroffensive that failed miserably, but also situation is emerging in the northern sectors of the front when Russian side is in position to conduct a large-scale offensive operation and establish control over the Kupiansk and many other settlements in the Kharkov region. And this person, former aide of Ukraine's president, Oleg Soskin, is saying that after Kupiansk, basically Russian forces will have an open way towards Kharkov, which is true, by the way, but in my understanding, even though I'm not military expert, I don't think it's worth to enter Kharkov directly. Russian forces probably will encircle Kharkov and force Ukrainian garrison in that city to lay down arms and surrender to save city from destruction and to save lives, by the way, of course. Well, let's continue. One way or another, it's obvious that at some point Ukrainian society will begin realizing in how deep of a crisis Zelensky and his associates did throw entire Ukrainian society and Ukraine itself. Propaganda, Western propaganda or propaganda of Zelensky's regime would not work forever. That's for sure. Let me continue, and this is quite interesting. Next few news will be about economical stuff, and RIA Novosti is reporting that in State Duma, which is Russian parliament, by the way, some draft law have been introduced, if I'm not mistaken, or discussions have been begun about cutting some hours from weekly full working week, which is 40 hours, and Russian MPs now want to cut this full week working hours for from 40 to 36, because according to some Russian lawmakers, people are burning out on the working places while working 40 hours a week. Well, interesting proposal, but well, let's see if this proposal will have support from government, because after all, these type of decisions eventually making some influence on Russian budget and income of Russian budget, and government may have some other ideas about it. Let's continue. But idea, it's interesting because many companies in Russia already are working in a different shifts, with different shifts, and in some companies people are having at least 3 days off a week. But when it comes to state-run companies or enterprises or organizations, including state institutions, of course, it's 40 hours of full working week. Let's continue now, and RT is reporting that Russian energy revenues higher than last year. According to Handelsblatt, I guess this is German news outlet. So Russian income increased 5% in comparison last month in comparison to June of 2022, and well, this is quite interesting because very different or contradicting reports are coming in when it comes to Russian energy sector lately. Some days we are seeing news that Russian energy exports are plummeting, which is true, by the way, because Russia actually lost significant margin in European market, energy market, and same time we have this type of reports according to which Russian energy revenues are higher than last year, which is, I mean, well, in my opinion, it contradicts fact that Russian energy exports are not as high as in previous years, but maybe it's all about differences in price. Maybe it's all about differences in prices. And by the way, weakening ruble is also play a huge part in all this story, I believe, because more weaker ruble will allow government to have more income when they exchange foreign currencies that they are receiving by selling Russian energy. So well, even though these informations about energy sector may seem contradictory to each other, there's some logic behind it. But anyway, according to RT and this German news outlet Handelsblatt, Russia saw revenues from energy exports surge last month despite Western sanctions that include embargoes and price caps on the country's oil. According to the publication, Moscow's revenues from oil and gas sales grow 5.3% year-on-year in July and amounted to $8.66 billion US. Profits were said to be the largest in the gas exports, while those from crude sales rose by only 2.6%. The outlet noted that it was the first time this year that Russia had increased state revenues from energy exports in comparison with 2022. So, well, if Russia is receiving more revenue from energy exports, it's great news. Let's continue. And Interfax is reporting that according to some analytics, prices on gold will soar next year and reach 2,500 for an ounce. And by the way, this is according to analytics. This is because of this may happen because of possibility that recession will take place worldwide. I'm not expert in gold sales, in economics in general, so well, I will take this news as its face value. Let's see, maybe gold will rise in its price. But anyway, I did say quite a few times before that if I had any savings, then I will probably buy some gold, because I guess gold is much more safe than any other assets. RT is also reporting that Germany faces years of gas supply anxiety. That was reported by Bloomberg, by the way, and according to this outlet, in coming years, Germany will face on year-on-year base some shortages in energy, especially if winter will be severe. And well, it's nothing to disagree here, really. Germany's current government destroy almost entirely relationships with Russia, and they were Germany was benefiting from cheap Russian energy for decades and decades, and this cheap Russian energy did allow Germany to become a major manufacturing hub in Europe, major economy in Europe. And now, because of destruction of this good working relationships between Germany and Russia, I guess German businesses will find it difficult to stay or remain in Germany. And well, German economy will probably also struggle, because now they have to pay significantly more for LNG in comparison to pipeline gas that was Germany receiving during the decades and decades. But anyway, previous winter was quite mild in Europe, and we did not see any significant issues in Europe. And I hope, or let's hope, this winter will be also mild, because after all, it's ordinary citizens that are always suffering because of stupid actions of governments. So if winter will be mild, then ordinary Germans will not gonna endure any difficulties, which is good, by the way. And I remind you that despite this extremely anti-Russian and Russophobic policies of current leadership of Germany, just recently some poll numbers were released in Germany, and 60% or 66% of people that was participating in this study were against further escalation between Germany and Russia, and against the deployment of, for example, long-range cruise missiles, Taurus cruise missiles from Germany to Ukraine. So, well, ordinary people, when maybe in some countries propaganda is too severe and the majority are on a Russophobic stance, but not Germany, I guess. And well, good for them, because after all, we are not the enemies, man. These so-called elites are enemies of humanity. And this is gonna be last two news for this update. Russian Central Bank did made a comment about situation with the ruble. As you know, Russian currency is losing its positions on almost daily basis now, and today at some point exchange rate of ruble and dollar was 99 ruble for $1. And central bank did made a statement that failing of the ruble is due to disbalance in trade, and well, the central bank, at least for now, I guess, don't see some significant risks for Russian economy because of weakening of the Russian ruble. They did stated, deputy of head of Russian Central Bank, Alexei Zabotkin, did stated that central bank does not see risks for stability of Russian financial system despite weakening of the ruble. And well, I guess my prediction will come true, another one. And before end of this year, exchange rate between ruble and dollar, US dollar for example, probably will reach 100, and not just 100, it's already basically did that, but 110, 120 rubles for a dollar also, and then ruble probably will stabilize. I did predict this many months ago. Veterans of our community probably remember it, and even though I'm not expert in finances. Seems like this prediction that was based on my reading of situation, my reading of information from open sources. Well, seems like, yes, that prediction will become true. And this is it, by the way. This is it for today's second update. Extreme weather here, by the way. Extremely hot and very how you say it, let me translate this word. Humidity, yes, extreme humidity. It's hard to breathe even, and now it's afternoon, still too hot. But anyway, after all, it's summertime, so it's okay. And this is it for now. Quite short update. Please, if you find this video and this project entirely interesting and useful, please consider to click that like button, leave some commentary about any topic you like, and if you can, please share links to my videos on my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel is useful and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support it small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. This is it for now. I wish you a great upcoming weekend. Tomorrow is my day off. It's a Saturday, so I will have a day off. So yes, see you on Sunday in the next update. Take care.